3 of MBA Spotlight. This is our first MBA virtual fair hosted by GMAT Club. We are doing sessions with top MBA programs every single day. We also have current students talking about their daily MBA experiences and student panels. We also have admission consultants and experts weighing in on your profiles on the chat rooms at GMAT Club. So join me in welcoming Texas McCombs. We have Jaden, Alex, and Stephen. Jaden, why don't you take it away?
Oh, wonderful. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining us from. Thanks for joining us to talk and learn a little bit more about Texas McCombs MBA program. My name is Jaden Felix. I'm one of the admissions officers here. Stephen?
Hi, everyone. Thanks again for joining. My name is Sweeney. I'm the Director of Recruiting and Admissions for the Full-Time MBA program. So we really appreciate you guys taking some time out of your day or evening to join us and learn more.
Alex?
Sorry, still getting the hang of the unmute mute. Hi, I'm Alex Cohen. I'm actually a recent grad, just graduated in May, so I'm the class of 2020. I'm super excited to be here today to talk to you more about the program that I'm very sadly finished with, but wish I was in your school shoes and could redo it, honestly.
Awesome. Well, we're going to get started with the agenda. I'm just going to give you a preview of everything we're going to talk about during our time together. You saw Stephen disappear. He's going to be in the YouTube chat answering all your questions and then saving some, hopefully, for us to talk about in person. So today we're going to talk about curriculum, student involvement, and experiential opportunities that exist. And you're going to hear from Alex during that. She'll be able to share her perspective, career advancement, class profile, and the application process. And in the questions, we're also going to kind of get ahead of some of the COVID-related topics. And so wait for that. So let's go ahead and jump right into the curriculum. So some of our students, looks like they're having fun. All right, so let's go ahead and jump in. There are three things I'd like to highlight about our curriculum. The first one is leadership, the core, and then electives. First, leading for impact. So that's that bar at the top. That is a brand new addition to the curriculum. And as the name implies, it's all about your leadership. And I have a question for you. So what's the number one reason someone leaves a job? So maybe you can put it in the chat. So for anyone who said a boss or even like a bad boss, that's exactly it. So you're right. Leading for impact is all about making sure that our alumni, like Alex, aren't the bad bosses out in the world. So it's really going to focus on, how do you motivate others? How do you give feedback in a positive and functional way? How do you ensure that you're achieving goals in a healthy manner, right? So second is those blue boxes. Those blue boxes highlight the core. And you're going to experience the core in one of 4 cohorts. And then you're also going to be broken up into study teams. So imagine a study team of like someone from finance, a marketing person, someone who comes from consulting, a nonprofit, and even someone maybe who has the international experience, right? So all of those folks are joined together to experience the core. So it's really dynamic. I'm sure, Alex, you've had great stories and successes with your team, and maybe you can share that a little bit later. Then the last thing is the electives. And so that's those tan color boxes. And those tan color boxes kind of feature the customization that occur within our curriculum. It allows you to choose electives based off of your interests, your goals, and a concentration. Now, give you a sense of what the roadmaps that exist out there for our concentrations. And here's kind of like all 20 plus of them. So based off of this, you can it'll help guide you in your course selection and electives. It also communicates to potential employers about what you're a subject matter expert in. And it also kind of allows you to choose electives. Now, Alex, you've had some really great electives. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, definitely. I was lucky enough to take 3 of the electives that are actually on the screen being highlighted right now, which makes me feel like I really picked the right classes at McCombs. But the one on the left about creativity and leadership is sometimes called the happiness class. And it's totally something I would have never thought about before going back to get an MBA. It really talks to you not only about how you, as kind of this manager and potentially C-suite executive, can retain your own happiness, but also how you can make sure that your employees and the working conditions really create this environment that makes your employees happy, and as Jaden says, makes them want to stay at the company. So it was actually kind of more of like a softer skill class, but I took it my first year before my internship at Amazon, and I was shocked at how many things ended up being really applicable to my internship. So it was a really great opportunity, and definitely recommend anyone looking at the school to take that class. I was also able to take the Business and Society in the Age of Inequality class, which I think is, given everything going on right now, super applicable. It really talks about, a lot of the history that's led to where we are today, and then you as a business leader, what it is that is necessarily your role in kind of making bigger differences outside of just your company in all of the society that we live in. It does include a global perspective, which was kind of really interesting because I really didn't know much about anything outside of the US before the class. So definitely recommend that one as well. I also took the data storytelling and visualization, which was an incredible class. You get to learn hands-on Tableau. It's actually taught by an industry professional who spends their day in and out spending time on Tableau. So he's super passionate about it and made it really fun. And actually, my classmates and I loved it so much. We had a semester after, we had a little Tableau meetup, and we all made like Tableau presentations for each other to show what we've been doing since quarantine. So I think overall, the electives offered, you get a lot of opportunities to take a lot of electives. As Jaden mentioned, like so many of your semesters are spent in electives, and there are a lot of awesome ones out there that obviously we don't have all the time in the world to tell you about today, but you'll get to learn a lot more than you even think when you think of what an MBA even is.
Great. Thanks, Alex. As Alex alluded to, there's a lot of electives out there, and one of the reasons why there are so many, it's because it's just the breadth of UT Austin. We're one of 5 institutions that have top at least 8 top 20 graduate programs, and then 49 top 10 graduate programs. So there's a lot of opportunities for you to dive into courses that are of interest to you. We also have dual degree programs that are out there too, so depending on what your interests are. Just to give you a little sense of what the classroom experience is like, it is a team-based learning model. And then the faculty, as you can tell just from Alex's excitement, they're highly accessible, and we'll probably talk a little bit more about that too. So now this is Rolling Hall. This is a brand new building. It's now 2 years old. So I don't know if our absence allows it to mature. I don't know if we count these time, but anyways, it's new and it's here waiting for you. Alex, do you have a favorite place that you like to study or like a feature within the building?
Yeah, there's a second floor area that you can kind of tell it's like above the main entrance, and it's this open space area called Carpenter Commons. And we like to joke that the building was built like the Apple offices, that really encourages kind of random interactions, and that space is like the creme de la creme of it. It's just a really great place to hang out, pretend to study. We call it procrastination station, but really get to meet more of your classmates and interact with people. And it's just a really great part of the school, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so this stairway that you see right here actually leads to that second floor space, and I wish I would have included a picture of that so everyone could have seen it. So go ahead and tell us a little bit about student involvement.
Yeah, so outside of the classroom, there are tons of ways that you as a student can be involved in the McCombs community. And on top of that, there's ways that you'll get to kind of put your skill set to use and use that for more real world experience. So at McCombs, there's over 40 MBA student organizations, ranging from career-focused ones to affinity groups, and includes everything from like really fun sports. There's like the soccer club that gets to travel everywhere, to more social ones. And so you'll have the opportunities to engage and even potentially lead a lot of these organizations, which put on different events and case competitions in subject matters that really interest you. And what's so great about McCombs is because the program is so student-run, if there's something that's on this shortened list, but even on the longer list that you don't see, there's definitely possibilities that students make their own clubs while they're here. We also have the fellows programs, which give select students a closer chance to work with leaders in the field and really dive into different topic areas. At McCombs, I was lucky enough to be involved in a number of different orgs. I just want to highlight a few. One of my favorite ones was actually MBA Improv, which sounds super random and totally not what you would do with your MBA, but we actually got to take during orientation an improv class, and it was really just fun and kind of a totally different change of pace for what you're used to. Sorry, breaking up. And the club was really fun. We would do fun improv games. And I've been reading how a lot of Fortune 500 companies actually do improv as a teamwork strategy because it really teaches you different communication devices and also how to work together. They also do bring in industry professionals to really teach you some improv, which is kind of funny because you think you're really good at it after your little practices. And then you're like, wait, no, I can't even compete with the real world people. I was also in Graduate Women in Business, which is a great group, not just for women, but also for allies. They focus not just on networking, which is great. For instance, I was able to get an internship role just from attending one of their events, but also on more fun things. They do like some fun gender games and some other fun game nights and social activities. And for the fellows programs, I was in Operations Fellows, which is a little bit more self-explanatory, but gives you the opportunity to meet with C-suite executives and work on real-world projects. And then also Board Fellows, which is where you serve on the board of a nonprofit in Austin. And it's a really cool opportunity to get to meet people in the community outside of the Texas organization, and also to really see how your MBA skills can transfer into the nonprofit world. So that's just the highlight. You'll see there's lots of other ones out there. So if you're not interested in anything I just mentioned, don't worry, there's lots more. But I think with that, we can go to the next slide, Jaden. Great. So one of my favorite parts of the McCombs MBA is that you don't even just get to learn in the classroom, but you get to learn in so many other ways. So the MBA Plus program gives you this opportunity to really develop your business skills through dynamic and hands-on experiences. The MBA Plus project is probably the most well-known of the options out there. And this is kind of like a mini consulting project where you get to work with a range of companies and organizations that range from startups to consulting and energy to tech, really all across the board. It's super valuable to someone that's looking to gain new industry and function experience. And the projects are available every semester, so you could take potentially 4 if you're interested. I personally was someone that was looking to career switch. I'm sure there's some of you out there in the audience. And so I was able to do my MBA Plus project my first semester in the fall for Hyatt Hotels. I had come from a background that was in public transit, super non-traditional, was very unprepared for whatever was going to come down the pipeline of what I wanted for my internship. And so this MBA Plus project gave me the opportunity. We actually got to work with a McCombs alum and present to the director of Rooms for America for all of Hyatt Hotels. They flew us to Chicago. It was a really incredible experience, and it was a really valuable thing to have on my resume and to be able to talk about in interviews. I was really impressed with how much companies were super interested in what I had done. So it's a great opportunity. On top of that, the MBA Plus program gives you the ability to have one-on-one coaching, which I personally think is the most underrated part of the McCombs MBA. You get access to people that have PhDs in communication, and it's totally one-on-one. You can do everything from nonverbal cues to presentations, which they helped me and some teams win some case competitions. So I owe them probably a lot of money. But they also are great with interviews. And because they work with so many people across the board between the undergrad and the grad schools, they really know the ins and outs of these companies. So for instance, when I was interviewing at Amazon, I met with one of the coaches a few days before, and they knew the strategy that Amazon used. They knew the types of questions. So when I walked into the interview, I actually almost laughed at one of the questions because it was the exact question that one of the coaches had asked me. So super amazing to have access to as part of your MBA. On top of that, the MBA Plus project gives you access to seminars and workshops that are usually tailored to what we may be interested, but also very timely. With COVID, they've been doing lots of virtual events about how to succeed virtually, so really valuable. And then one of my favorite parts is the global programs that they offer. And so you can see here just a sampling of all of the different ways you can travel during your MBA experience. We have a large international population, so you do feel like you're getting an international education right in Texas, but to be able to get to go to these different countries really just amplifies everything you're learning. They range from short-term global connections trips, which are about 10 days over spring break, to a full semester exchange program. And Jaden, you can go to the next slide. So Jaden was nice enough to give me my own slide for this. So I was lucky enough to get to go on 2 global experiences. On the left with the Taj Mahal, you'll see that I got to go to India. I went with the global connections, which are over spring break. They're designed like a class, so you get class credit, and they're all focused around different themes. So mine was innovation and technology. In the class component before we left, our professor, who was Indian, really led us through kind of what the culture is like and different things. He brought in speakers. We actually learned how to do some dancing, which was really fun. And then we were in the country. We got to visit lots of different companies, ranging from really early stage startups and incubators to later stage startups. We got to talk to a venture capital firm to learn more about what like that's in India. And we even got to go to the government, which was super interesting to hear what their perspective is on kind of innovation in the emerging field. We also got to do some fun things, as you can tell. We went to the Taj Mahal. We also got to celebrate Holi. And then on the right, I actually took advantage of the semester abroad program. I don't know if there's people out there in the audience interested in that. I went to London with some of my other classmates. Here I'm featured in Barcelona with one of my classmates. It was really amazing to get to be in Europe and get to go visit some of my other classmates. So it's an all around amazing experience to get to really see how the world views business differently and how you can use your skills to be a successful business person pretty much wherever. With that said, a lot of people ask, like, how did I leave Austin for a semester? Austin is a really incredible place. It was definitely one of the main things that I thought about when I was going to get an MBA. I wanted a place that felt like a smaller city, so I would feel like still an older adult getting a graduate degree, but not so overwhelming that I felt like all of the people in the program would come in with friends and families that everyone would know and not want to hang out. So the numbers speak for themselves on the screen. Austin is rapidly growing and a really incredible place to live, and I echo that entirely. I moved from DC before school and was like, I'm never going to want to live in Austin full time. And after school was like, wait, how can I stay? Some of my favorite things to do was actually the lake at the bottom left of the screen, even though sometimes it's called a river. You got to kayak on it and do lots of other water sports, and a lot of the clubs on campus would utilize it. So it was really amazing. And then I would be remiss to not mention the food. I am back in DC and sadly really miss tacos. So I'll have to make it back to Austin eventually to get to have some tacos. But yeah, with that, Jaden, take it away.
Thanks, Alex. If you haven't had tacos, it's going to be it's an open, blow your mind. All right, let's talk about career advancement. And now we do have a brand new full-time employer report, which will go into all the details about class of 2019 and class of 2020 internships. But just to kind of highlight it, tech represented 26% of where folks were placed, consulting with 25%, and then financial services with 19%. You'll see it sprinkle out from there. You also see a breakdown of function. It's incredible. The career team did an incredible job, 94% placement, 100% of class of 22 had internships. You'll see some median salary information, but there's just pages upon pages of information in that employment report. So feel free to peruse that, get the information. And obviously with the alumni network that we have, you're also aided by the alums. So let's talk a little bit about the class profile. Here is a breakdown of what class of 2021 looks like. 260 students were right on track to be there this upcoming year too. You'll see breakdown of in-state, out-of-state, international. Now we do have the averages. We often encourage people to look at that middle 80% to see what the spectrum looks like of successful enrolled students. So middle 80% age is 26 to 32. You see the years of work experience. Now, GMAT and GRE, we do not have a preference. So take the test that's going to be best for you, GMAT, GRE. We also have the GPA located there. And for any of the applicants who are coming with an international degree, we'll look at your transcripts. We're not going to convert that into a US 4.0 scale. But let's talk about the application. We are looking at 3 different buckets. The first one is academic profile, which you'll see articulated there. Work experience. This is where I want to kind of give some time to, is the way I kind of articulate it and prepare you for the application process is about your impact, results, and leadership. So how is that going to be communicated within your resume? A one-page resume, quantified as much as possible, thinking of those opportunities or those successes you had on the job. So impact, results, and leadership. That should also be reflected in your professional recommendation too. So one person, I'm asking one person, ideally a current supervisor, but if you're applying to an MBA and without your current supervisor's knowledge, a previous supervisor is okay. But set them up for success. So remind them about how great you are and how great you were on the job. And we are looking for folks who have a minimum, or we recommend a minimum of 2 years full-time work experience. It's really what the employers are looking for, and it's going to set you up for success during that career search process. And then we also have the connection between you, your goals, and us, and that's the you and Texas McCombs. We do have 2 essays. The first one is that we're going to learn a lot about you, from your work experience, and please introduce yourself. The second one is imagine yourself at graduation and what did you do with your time here? So it's about how you're going to create your journey at Texas. As Alex alluded to, there's a lot to get involved in, some electives and some great people to work with. So tell us your journey. And then lastly, we do have an optional third essay. So if you have any concerns, you should write about it in there. And then the interview is an incredible opportunity for you to kind of put it all together. In most times, the interview is done by people just like Alex. Alex is currently doing some interviews right now. And it is a behavioral questions. We're going to have you reflect on your work experience. Think about opportunities that you had that were successes, opportunities to grow. So one suggestion I have about interview is record yourself with a friend, right? And then listen back. Like, did you tell your story the way you intended to? Did you have any verbal static? So something to help you during the process. And then you'll see I've listed some deadlines to anticipate for the future. Just give you a ballpark. We haven't really decided on the exact time points. So, but hopefully that'll give you some idea. And then lastly, scholarships. We do look at you holistically through the application process. And so everything you see in the application component is going to be reviewed for a potential scholarship award. And to give you an idea, our scholarships range from $5,000 to full tuition. And over half, about 60% of our students will receive some sort of financial aid. Great. And so some things on the horizon, and I saw that a link was dropped. We do have a lot of virtual events. So I hope that you'll take some time out to visit us and learn a little bit more. So now we're going to go into the questions, some of the ones that are maybe on the chat. But before we get into that, I do want to read something about COVID-19 and just kind of give you a sense of what's happening. So COVID-19 is impacting everyone everywhere. As the university continues to respond to COVID-19 and articulates plans to reopen the campus in the fall, we anticipate some courses and activities will be held in person and virtually, as dictated by health and safety concerns. We plan on accommodating the needs of incoming and returning students, especially if they are unable to join us in person due to travel, health, and visa issues. In fact, we've been offering defers to enrolled students and COVID-19 test waivers to applicants right now. These soon to be released campus policies will not only influence the classroom, but also dictate fall recruitment activities. So as you look to the coming months, expect virtual events with current students and admission staff to answer your questions while showcasing the collaborative and community-centric culture at Texas McCombs. Now, you can expect more MBA admissions information in July about deadlines for the upcoming cycle. We will continue to monitor the global impact COVID-19 has on applicants, testing centers, institutions, and processes. Our Texas McCombs MBA Insider blog will be updated with any changes. I'd highly recommend subscribing to it to stay informed. So many people, including some of you, may ask about what the volume or competitiveness of the next cycle is going to be, and the truth is, we don't know. It's true that during times of economic uncertainty, we see people return to school and focus on new ways to work, lead, and collaborate. Another truth is that the MBA application process always contains strong applicants, which is why the process takes reflection, tenacity, research, and focus on your part. So we continue to evaluate candidates holistically now and will next cycle. We can't wait to read your application, so let's get to some additional questions. So Tariq is asking, are different standards held when evaluating underrepresented students compared to the overrepresented? Potentially lower GMAT scores, less work experience required. Greetings from Jordan. Great. So this is a great question. Part of the process that we're looking at is we're use a holistic review. So we're looking at everything that we kind of articulated in that admission slide, work experience, GPA, how much you know about the program, your interview. So there's so much more beyond the standards from lower GMAT or work experience. It makes our jobs really interesting and fun, and we get to have real conversations about the applicants. Stephen, do you want to take this one? McCombs seems to have a heavy energy clean tech focus. In your experience, have you noticed that translate into recruiting opportunities?
Sure. So thanks for the question, Kartik. So yeah, I think the perception is, since we're in Texas, there's a heavy energy focused reality. There's actually not that many students who are focused on the oil and gas sector. It's roughly 5 to 10% of the class that goes into that area. So definitely, if you want to do energy, we are certainly the place to be. But we're much more heavier of a tech, of a consulting, of a finance school than necessarily energy. Now, clean tech continues to become more and more popular as well. So we have students who work, for example, in like waste management in a VC capacity in that area. We have students who work for the big integrated companies, but more on the cleaner side of things. We have people who work for utilities, solar. So certainly we have that, and that continues to grow as well. So if you are focused on either, I would say there's no better place to be than McCombs to focus on that area.
Yeah, I think I answered this question just a few moments ago. Is we're going to look, there is no separate process. Everything that you've already done a lot of work, so we don't need you to jump through any more hoops. So your application is what we're going to look at.
I can take this one. Thanks for the question, Sarah. So we are not planning to increase the class size for the class of 2023 at this point, and that don't see that likely changing, but we will see sort of what the surge in applications is, if any, and we'll take it from there. But I would not expect the class size to be larger than our 260, 270 students each year.
Could you speak to the McCombs network outside of Texas? Alex, you want to take a stab at this?
Sure. For context, I'm actually not staying in Texas after school, and I would say almost half, I think, of my class does not stay in Texas after school. I maybe have the numbers slightly wrong, but it's what it feels like at least. I personally am from the East Coast, was trying to go to the West Coast, and also considered the fact that in the long term, I didn't want to stay in Texas for my life. I've been honestly so impressed at the network and where the alumni are. We have alumni groups in almost all of the major cities that I would ever think of that I'd want to live in. And like this summer I was in Seattle and they invited the interns out for drinks. And it was really nice to get to meet everyone. So yeah, I have never felt like the network was at all limited based on geographic location. I know Steven's an alum of the program too, so he may be able to add some light about his class, but yeah, I've been very impressed and never at all felt like I was being limited.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great point, Alex. So I went to New York to do consulting when I graduated. That was totally by choice. A lot of students fall in love with Austin, so they want to stay in Austin by choice. So they turn down offers on the coasts. And then cost of living, quality of life, no state income tax, all that stuff kind of plays a factor in decision making. But we have over 5,000 alums in New York, over 5,000 in the Bay Area. So just a massive, just incredible reputation anywhere. So the degree travels wherever you would like to go abroad as well.
Great. So the next question is talking about entrepreneurship. Varun says, can you speak to how UT supports entrepreneurial goals for its students through TVL and Access to Austin? I can take this one. So yes, you're right. Texas Venture Labs is what TVL stands for, is in Rolling Hall. It's like an incubator accelerator. You get to work with startups in Austin. We also have pitch competitions that happen on campus and off campus. Capital Factory, Div Inc. There are so many accelerators that exist in Austin. Actually, some of the micro consulting projects also work with entrepreneurs. So I know one student, for instance, who even had his startup as one of the ones featured or like being supported through like these micro consulting projects. The other thing is, we also have classes focused on entrepreneurship. New venture creation, incredible class. Lots of students talk about it. Lots of fun in learning through that course. So GMAT Club is asking, how does McCombs view reapplicants? What do they have to do for a different applicant decision? Stephen?
Sure. So we view reapplicants in a positive light. So just because you were not admitted 1 year does not exclude you for the rest of your life. So we do look at it positively for a few reasons. One, it shows tenacity. We know the process is not an easy one. It's long. It shows your interest in McCombs. And so again, that's a good thing. And really the only difference is we ask one additional question on the application that says, how have you improved your candidacy from the previous year or years? And so it's including either promotions in work, new test scores, extracurricular activities you've engaged in. So really letting the admissions committee know how your application has changed from the year or years before is really important. But again, we certainly do not discourage folks from reapplying at all.
To add on to Stephen's answer, I would also say, don't submit the same essays, right? Make sure you retool things and reflect on your application. So next question. Views on the culture, Mr. Great One, 234 says, views on the culture of the college and what's made you choose McCombs when you were applying? Thanks. This is probably a good question for Alex and Stephen.
I was going to say we both could answer. For me, the culture that stood out was that I got to meet some of the students when I was a prospective, and I felt like, unlike a lot of other MBA programs, it was a really down-to-earth and humble environment, which I thought was pretty rare. I think, partially it's because of who the school attracts, and also being in Austin, it's a really laid-back city, which I think really permeates into the school. When I was looking at schools, I wanted a school that had a lot of different focus areas. I was definitely career exploring, and McCombs stands out because it is so good at so many of those concentrations. And also it was the people. I think I mentioned, like, I got to meet some beforehand, and I just felt like of all the schools I was looking at, I could really feel like I could be friends with all of the people I met. And so I think that is exactly what happened. And I tell that to people to this day, that always look at who you're talking to and if you think you could fit in there. I don't know if Stephen wants to add anything to that.
Yeah, I think for me, like, visiting was amazing. So I had never lived in Texas before enrolling in McCombs, so I wasn't 100% sure just what to expect. But I think the secret's out now. This was 2008, 2009. Austin is amazing. So that the visit really solidified my desire to attend here for the location, but also, just like Alex said, the people are really lifelong friends for the rest of my life as well.
I won't try and say this person's whatever. McCombs is clearly a top tier school. How is it aiming to differentiate from other schools of this caliber? Of the broad range of applicants, what type of candidate best fits that strategy? Ooh, this is a good one. Stephen, do you want to start?
Sure. So first of all, thank you. We definitely are an elite program. And so really we're doing a few different things. One is we have the fortunate and the ability that we have a very large undergraduate business school. So our faculty base is massive, right? So our business school at the university is larger than most universities in the entire country. And that's just our business school. So we don't have to have a huge MBA program to support the most elite faculty in the world because, again, we have a lot of other students who support that for us. So for example, when blockchain and everything, then was really hot, we were able to get a grant from Ripple and be one of 15 global universities in the world to really get that grant because we already had the expertise in-house. We didn't have to go out to the marketplace and recruit that expertise over there. Sports analytics is becoming popular for the students. We were able to bring in the San Antonio Spurs analytics expert to teach a class there. So we're really able to, there's a lot of other examples, right? Like someone mentioned a question on oil and gas. We have a class with the former CEO of Anadarko on moral leadership and the environment and decision-making and things like that. So we have the resources to compete with the best, and we already have a lot of expertise already in-house, so we can spin up different electives really quickly, and our size allows us to do that. It's not like we need to move 1,000 students into doing something, and so we really listen to our students, we listen to our employers in terms of what techniques and skills they're seeing in the marketplace, really to set you up not for the next 5 years, but for the rest of your life, not for the next job, but for the next 10 jobs. And so we are constantly benchmarking and excelling in that area. And I think you can see that from our ability to rise in whatever rankings you are looking at.
Ooh, this is a good one. So James is asking, thank you guys for your time here. Can you speak a little bit about alumni involvement? And I can tell you, even from this summer, we were preparing some of our incoming consortium students for orientation program, and the alumni are more than willing to help out. I feel like every call, every week for the last 5 weeks, alumni have invested their time and energy to making sure that the incoming students are set up for success. And I'm sure, Alex, you've had other interactions with alumni.
Yeah, I was able to use alumni, especially in the beginning, to kind of do my career exploration. I've talked about that a lot today. Seems odd, but they're super receptive. And on top of that, I've noticed that given COVID, the school was able to get together like 8 alumni who graduated during the last recession in a matter of 2 days to get together a whole session related to how they survived and their tips and tricks. And we joke that usually when you reach out, like you never know how many people are going to say yes. And every single alumni dropped everything that was going on to make sure that we got to answer our questions. So I think it's a really strong alumni network. And I think that the school does a really great job of teaching second years how to give back to first years. And that really translates when you become an alumni to give back to the current students.
And I wanted to highlight 2 additional organizations that exist on both coasts. So we have Wall Street for McCombs in New York, and then we also have Bay Area for McCombs. And then the institution is also just launched recently an LA experience based, it's housed not in our school, but it is with communications. So there's also lots of opportunities outside to engage alumni. I think we only have like 2 minutes left, so I think we're wrapping up. Well, I'll say something real quickly, and we can just kind of pass the mic, if you will. It's been incredible to see you here, and I hope to see you again in the future. Again, my name is Jaden.
Thank you guys again for everything. Really appreciate it. I got a couple questions about the application. So essays will be launched beginning of July. Our application deadlines will be announced around that same time period. So just continue to be on the lookout for that. We're hosting a bunch of things online virtually with current students and us. And so if you want to learn more about the program from that perspective, get on our website, register there. And again, thank you guys for your time.
Yeah, thank you all